Hello everyone, this is Shadow Dragon from the DCEU community, and I've been wanting to do this video for a while about the dive base theme and the potential that it has. A lot of people overlook it just because it's the plainest one, and it's smaller with a different layout than the others. And actually, it was brought up in a recent office hours, and MEPS said that it wasn't a very popular theme. And I mean, I think part of that is because it's not the default one. I think you have to be free to play for it to be the default one, because I don't know. My main account's legendary, and my premium account has pretty much been premium since I opened it, because I just immediately bought one of the weapon packs, so I was never free to play during the home turf era. So like even premium, they start out in this type of base here. This is the deco base, and then you have to make an effort to switch it to dive, because like after you get your default base, you go to this dispenser, and then you get the dive base. So you actually have to downgrade to dive, so it's an extra step, which a lot of people probably won't do, so there's going to be a drop off there. So we're just going to go to the first one. A lot of these are pretty repetitive, like I've shot videos of them before, so they're not really going to be base tours. I'm just going to talk about like how the dive base is different than the others, what it can do versus what it can't do. So I'm going to do the two that have been featured in videos before, and then I'll do the new one last. So this was a seasonal one I did, I think 2 years ago, and then I just updated it with like whatever newer parts we got, and then Age of Justice gave us these windows. So first and foremost, in a dive base, you can easily retheme it. Like it's easier to do it in this space than it is with one of the larger ones, just because by retheming, I mean you're going to paste over the floor, the walls, and the ceiling. If you do that with the normal size base, you're going to come very close to that 500 limit, and then once you start adding the actual furniture after you retheme it, you're going to be wrestling with that limit. The dive base has the same limitation, 500 items, except it's a much smaller space. So you're definitely going to have more freedom. So like in this space, I pasted the snow items on the floor. The ceiling, which people don't often look at, like people don't tilt the camera up, but the entire ceiling is like covered. And those are the sunstone ceiling items from T7, and of course the icicles from the seasonal vault. And the walls are just windows. And who knows, this year we may get some icy or snow wall items, which then I'll have to update the space again. So you can first cover the entire base, and then you start placing the actual furniture items in, and not have to worry about the limit. This isn't the character's base, but let me see if I gave myself deco mode. Will it give the count? Okay, yeah, you see this base here is 286 out of 500.
It'd clearly go better over here.
So it's pretty full, but not even hitting the limit. And I do have ice bases that are of the larger theme, and I struggle with the 500 limit there. Alright, so one of the other cool things about the dive base is you could paste over everything. So here's a painting over the console. There are no dead spots here except for these two columns. You can't attach anything to those two columns. But everything else, like I rethemed the door, all the windows. In most themes, this entire area here is dead. You can't place anything. I think the penthouse one lets you put stuff on this wall all the way to the edge, but you can't go over the door. Some of the other themes don't even let you put stuff on this wall here. And then also with the dive, you can place on, or you can like replace the windows. There are basically two surfaces here. Like the window itself is its own recessed surface, and then this wall on the outside is another surface. So you can get pretty creative with that. And the Age of Justice windows are perfect for it. Like they're on the recessed window surfaces, pretty much replacing the windows. The other thing that works well here are the flash posters if you want to go for like a fire, ice, or cloud theme. Perfect size. And then because they're recessed, you could have like items on the wall overlapping those windows to kind of create more of an illusion of depth. So here's a shot of the entire base. The dive is also like more regularly shaped. Like there's no weird things about it. Like if you look at the other bases, you're gonna when you try to line things up, you're gonna come across issues such as like columns not lining up with the alcoves, columns not lining up with themselves. But this is just one large rectangle with just two columns. So it's easier to work with if you're making like a large room, which we will see with the next base. Alright, so we're moving along to the DCEU Miniplex. And this, like the other one, was also featured in a lot of other videos across different channels. And let me change Anna to a matching costume. So this is like the same case. Like you could completely retheme it. I pasted over the doors. And see, this whole area here that would have been dead space in another theme is a nice, like, little waiting room. Again, putting the posters over the windows. And also because a dive base is small, it's gonna feel like less overwhelming to decorate. So it's easier to kind of brainstorm and also collect items that match.
Way sweeter than your place. I'd give you permission to enter it, but it's top secret.
Because that's like the main thing to making a nice base. You need to get things that match and a lot of repeated items. So like this is a theater that just has a lot of theater row chairs. And then based on that, I collected items that matched in color. And the two bases I've shown so far are pretty easy to build. Like the seasonal winter base was mostly vault items. The only expensive item were the sunstone parts, which I actually ended up farming most of those anyway. Like you can get those from they started from Phantom Zone, and then they kind of bleeded them out to like surrounding episodes. So I got a lot of them from Oa Under Siege, actually, the solo. And then when they introduced loot pickers, it spread out to all T7 loot pickers. But I still felt like they dropped more in like Phantom Zone and Oa Under Siege. So like when you do that, you find a place to farm them, and then also you keep checking the broker for the same item. So for that base, I really didn't spend too much on it. Like I may have spent 200k on some of the sunstone parts, but the rest of it, like if you look at the vault items, those are free. They're pretty much junk loot levels during the winter seasonal, because they drop so many. Like I actually had enough of those to fill that dive base, another full base that was ice themed, and then I donated like the rest to league mates who also built full snow bases. The one we're looking at here is mostly St. Patrick's Day seasonal items for like the bar half. There are some Nana Parbat carpets for when that content was out. So that was all. These are all farmed. I didn't buy any of them. Same with this plant that's from T5. The poster pack was, it's only one poster pack for the BVS posters that was out for a short time. So that was the only real money spent here. Theater row chairs, those drop in T3. They seem to be more common in the Shady Nightclub or police station on the villain side. And I feel like they drop in the T3 raids too. At least more common than the solos. But Shady might just tend to be higher up because you get 5 loot pickers there. And then the back control room is just, these are just from Bombshell, the Bombshell episode. And these items have also spread out to the rest of T7 with the introduction of loot pickers. Office chairs are from T1 alerts, but can also drop from loot pickers. So as long as you have matching items, the price of them doesn't matter. Like if you happen to get like the cheaper items, you could probably make a nice dive base even with the lowest items on the totem pole are probably the occult. Like if you just got a whole bunch of those, fill the dive base with them, it's going to look pretty nice. Okay, so on to the latest one that I built. Alright, so this is the new one and hasn't been featured on any videos. I think I probably did like an unboxing on it, but I didn't really like highlight the base itself when I did that.
Hey, it's my good friend, that total stranger. I'm Ambush Bug.
I forgot to turn them off. Let me get rid of Ambush Bug. But actually, while we're in decoration mode, you could see that you could place stuff all over here. And there are different levels of surfaces here too, not just on the windows, but like there's this strip in the doorway that's like a different surface than the strip on close to the ceiling. You could even paste behind the console here. This is I think there's a slight dead spot like around here. Actually, maybe there isn't. I thought there was. But here, this is the only dead spot. It looks like you can place something, but yeah, you won't actually be able to. So the advantage of the dive for this type of theme I was going for was more so that it's a large rectangle. And it's great for building like a little spaceship, because the larger themes, it's a really irregular layout, and it just really wouldn't work as a spaceship. Because like if you think about like a real apartment with 3 floors, like even a triplex, none of them would ever be shaped like that, because you can't stack them like in an apartment building. Like if you think about where one floor is in relation to another, they're not on top of each other, and that's probably for the purpose of like ease of moving through it, and that's a video game. But if you think about it, there's no way an apartment would be built like that, because like the surrounding apartments would be even an odder shape if you tried to build like a skyscraper full of those type of apartments. So it's a little more normal in the dive theme because it's a rectangle. So in the back here I have like the storage space, power source, and I'm hiding the amenities behind base items. So this is the bank here. And then a cannon at this window. The other cool thing about a dive base is the ceiling level. So you can kind of section things out with dividers. And most dividers almost touch the ceiling, so it kind of looks like they're little rooms. So there's like this little hallway out to the teleporter area. I wish we had a more techy archway though, but yeah, this Olympian one is the only one that's thin enough and the right shape, but the theme is off. So I'd say this one is pretty cheap with a few expensive items. Like these stasis chambers are expensive if you don't know where to get them. They were one of the lower tiers. I don't quite remember though. These floor items I think are from the stabilizer event, or it was something really common, but these are like junk loot. And then I basically just shopped for low-end tech items. The anniversary event will give you these Star Labs panels, which are probably really expensive now, but if you played the event with a lot of alts, you basically got them for free. So there's another little room here, locker room with control panels, replacing the default theme control panels. And then covering up the generator. Side window. It's a mixture of the Batcave pack with anniversary event items. And then I built a wall like to separate the upper deck, which is the pilot's area. It's like in a lot of sci-fi spaceships, you usually have like the commander back here, and then a whole bunch of technicians up by the window. And then I used a Batcave computer combined with 2 of these Moonscape portals. so that it creates the illusion of a large window. And it also helps that the window is animated, because that way when you walk around it, it kind of looks like it goes together. Like if you look really closely, it looks like it's two windows showing the same thing. But like when you walk by quickly, you won't notice it as much. Then another room from the alcove. And then a room with sliding doors. This one is actually slightly incomplete because I wanted to get these blue mystical scrolls and put them all along this wall just to make things more blue. Because the backs of these pharmaceutical cabinets are red, and I just kind of wanted to make the base a little bit more blue. And also, I hope in the future we get some kind of like a tech or metallic ceiling item, because that's the plain part of this base. There's really nothing I could put on the ceiling that makes it look like a spaceship. And this one has a lot more room to add detail in. So like if we take a look at this, it's at 232 of 500. So I think probably the next few bases I build will probably be dives, like at least starting from scratch. There are a couple of full bases that I have partially built that are just basically waiting for future seasonals to come out with matching items. But we're getting some pretty cool Arkham items with the next episode. Oh wait, no, Arkham items are Halloween, and then we're getting like zoo items with the next episode. So those are a bit larger scale. I'll probably put those in some of the larger bases. But if anything else comes out in seasonals, I'll probably build like a smaller dive base. It's just like easier to do, and plus like if you have a bunch of themed items, it pretty much gets the point across if you retheme a dive, and then it gets to the point of overdoing it when you do a full base. It's definitely exhausting. So currently the dive base is probably one of my favorite themes, just because it's quick and to the point. Right, well, I hope this gives you some ideas if you decide to go for a dive, and I definitely recommend you give it a try. Alright, thanks for watching.